Welcome back to the Aubergine Chef. Now today we're going to be switching it up a little bit and doing something more savory than sweet by making quiche. Now this quiche recipe is basically a master recipe. Feel free to alter it and change it by putting in different kinds of meats, cheeses, and vegetables to make it your own. The custard itself is just a basic savory custard, meaning that there's no sugar in it. It's salt and pepper. So it's actually very easy to change into something you'd like by substituting in whatever add-ins you want to substitute in. So for ours, one of the things we're going to be making is roasted red pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my oven. My oven is preheated to 500 degrees. We're going to put this right on the baking rack. We're going to go ahead and roast it, rotating every once in a while. Just look for the skin. When the skin starts turning black, go ahead and flip it over to the next side so that side can get black, and then so on and so on. And we're going to keep doing that until the whole thing is black, and then I'll show you what we need to do next. Okay, we're also going to use a little bit of sausage. I have 1 pound of sausage here. It's the hot Italian sausage. Feel free to use mild if you prefer to do that. And we're actually going to go ahead and brown this until it's all the way cooked. And then once we come off the pan, I'm going to go ahead and put it in a bowl lined with some paper towels to let some of the grease drain out. Okay, in this skillet I have a tablespoon or 2 of regular olive oil, not extra virgin. And we're going to go ahead and add in our crumbled up sausage. Okay, to my sausage I'm going to go ahead and add in half of a chopped onion. And then I'm going to continue breaking up the sausage and the onion while it's cooking. Okay, our red bell pepper is nice and roasted. And earlier when I said 500 degrees, I meant broil. Basically whatever your highest temperature of your oven is, or if you've got broil. If you got broil, use it because it works a lot faster and works a lot better than just using 500 degrees. Next we're going to cover the bowl with some plastic wrap. And make sure it's a very nice, tight seal so no moisture can get out. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to sweat the skin off. So the moisture from the pepper is going to come out and make the skin nice and soft so we can peel it off very easily. Alternatively, you can do this in a plastic bag as long as the plastic bag doesn't melt from touching the pepper. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes grocery bags work well and sometimes they don't. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit until it's completely cool. So it can take up to 30 minutes depending on just how hot the pepper was. Okay, so now that the pepper has cooled off to the point where we can handle it, go ahead and just peel off the skin. Once you have peeled off the skin and taken out the seeds out of your roasted red pepper, go ahead and slice it up. I'm going to slice it into long, thin strips. Alright, so we need to pour in some milk and some heavy cream, 6.5 ounces each. And then 3 eggs. Then add a little bit of salt and pepper. And just whisk that together. Now earlier I went ahead and prepared my pie shell for this quiche. Now some people like to use an unsavory dough, kind of like a basic biscuit dough or something similar to that. I like to use pie dough. It's what I was taught how to make quiche, so I'm used to making it that way. If you need to see the basic pie dough episode, go ahead and just go to my website. It's on there, www.theauberginechef.com. I'll also add it to the bottom of my blog post for this specific episode, so you don't have to be looking around for it either. And so we're going to go ahead and add in our ingredients. So here's our cooked sausage and peppers. Whoop. This is actually probably a bit much, so I'm probably going to take out a little bit of it. I can save the rest of the cooked sausage for like an omelet or something like that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pour our custard in, our basic custard mix. And then we'll go ahead and layer in our roasted red peppers. Okay, and our quiche is ready to bake. So we'll go ahead and bake it at 350 degrees until the custard sets up, which should be about 30 minutes. Okay, so here's our finished quiche. I forgot to mention I wanted to add in some jack cheese, some Colby Jack and some pepper jack cheese. So I ended up going into the oven more than halfway and sprinkling some cheese on top. I really like a cheesy quiche. So I'm a little upset that I forgot to put that in there. But Putting it on top should be okay. I ended up sprinkling just a little bit more afterwards, so that way it kind of has that nice texture on top. The roasted red peppers kind of sank into the quiche, plus the cheese on top kind of hit it. I think if I had put more cheese inside it, they might have stayed up a little bit, floated a little bit more, so they could be seen a little bit better. But that doesn't matter. I'm sure it's going to taste great. It smells great. So I'm going to go ahead and let my quiche cool for about 20 minutes or so, just so that it's like cool enough to handle, and so that way when I slice into it, it doesn't just spill everywhere. Alright, and so that's how you make a basic quiche. Now remember, the sky is the limit when it comes to the add-ins in this recipe. You can add in broccoli, spinach, mushrooms, any kind of cheese. Just feel free to experiment and go above and beyond what I've done. I've just given you a really basic recipe, so that way you don't have to worry about the custard part, but you can worry about the stuff on the inside. Now keep in mind, some things are going to be a little bit more difficult, or you're going to have to adjust the recipe a little bit. Really watery things. Things that have a lot of juice in them. So keep that in mind if you're making it. Try to get your food not as dehydrated as possible, but just keep in mind that like if you're making something on the stove and it's really greasy, like the sausages, you want to get out most of that liquid, because you don't want to have a lot of like liquid floating in here, because it's only got those 3 eggs to help set it up. The rest of the stuff is just add in, or to make it smooth and creamy, to try to get in the way of the proteins in the eggs. So if you're adding something in that's a little bit watery, add in another egg just to be on the safe side. It doesn't hurt a whole lot, and the texture pretty much will stay the same. So about 3 to 4 eggs is probably where you want to be at. I hope you learned a lot today. Thanks for watching, and remember, the Aubergine Chef demystifying dessert and sometimes some savory foods, one recipe at a time.